Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ethan Hahn Plus, where you get your daily dose of fun, knowledge, peace, positivity, and whatever makes you feel good or laugh. We have it here. If it's your first time joining me today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button and show some support to the channel. Today, everyone, we have a guest who's been we've been talking for a hot minute on getting him on the show. Ever since we were in the garage, we've been talking about this. And hey, we're both, as we understand, we're both just busy guys. We're popular dudes. We're Delaware A celebrities, you know. We're up there. And yeah, I'm very excited to have him on today. We're gonna have a great talk. Everybody, please welcome to the show. I know him as Pastor Carlos, but welcome to the show, Carlos Xavier.
Hey,
Welcome, sir.
bro. It's an honor and privilege to be here.
Yeah.
This is a cool get up you have here, man. This is
Not too shabby, right?
so dope. I mean, you should charge people for a tour.
I was telling Jay, she's like, you need like eventually we can start if people want to hop on, we charge them or something like that, like to come on the show, right?
You could do like a behind the scenes type
behind
tour.
the scenes. It'd be like a museum.
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
like, hey, over here are SWAT posters.
Yeah, literally, it's the best 60 seconds of your life, you know?
right. Be like, all right, now pay up. Good, yeah.
Get
Get
out.
out of here.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it, huh?
Yeah, listen, I just came back from Costa Rica
Okay.
and I brought you some coffee from the mountains of Costa Rica.
Get out.
This right here is my gift to you.
What kind of coffees? So from Costa Rica, what kind of coffee?
So Costa Rica, it's known for its mountains, and here I am talking like I know what I'm talking about, right? But we're gonna pretend here.
Yeah.
But they're known for some good coffee.
Mhm.
Latin America in general has some good coffee, and me and my wife are big fanatics, and so everywhere we go, we love to try out different coffee shops, and,
Right.
you know, try to see what the vibe is.
I see you guys post about that a lot, like going around trying different places. It says more locally, Delaware, Jersey, you like go to Philly, like you guys, and what kind of like sparked that, like between the two?
Yeah.
Like, was it you or her that
Oh, it's my wife. All
it was
the
her?
way. She's creative,
Yeah.
and it's become like a hobby of ours.
Mhm.
You know, every couple has their thing that they
Yeah.
love to do,
Yeah,
and I think pretty soon we're gonna probably create like some type of online blog.
I love that.
We've been to probably over 30 coffee shops, and
Wow.
it started here in Delaware, and then you know because Delaware is so big,
Mhm.
right? The options of coffee shops, you
Yeah.
know, runs
And they're
runs
opening.
out.
People open up a lot of those.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
They're
But you
popular.
know, being sarcastic, Delaware's only so big, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so we're like, you know what? Let's look at Philly and let's look at South Jersey. And so she's on
Yeah.
this TikTok thing, and one day after another, you know, she would just go on there and see all these viral videos of neat specialty coffee shops, these mom and pop shops that are
Wow.
like hidden gems.
Yeah.
And so now she has this list of hundreds of shops that we want to kind of check off. And so we've been to coffee shops in Chicago, Florida, Tennessee,
Yeah.
Kentucky, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia,
Mhm.
anywhere you can think of,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Anywhere
yeah.
we've gone, we've checked out a coffee shop, and we love the vibe. And
Mhm.
so we always look for those hidden gems that no
Yeah.
one really goes
Those are the
to.
best kind of shops. Little
Oh
mom
my
and pop
God.
shops.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. They have like their little special touch.
Yeah.
And so I had a chance to go to Costa Rica, and of course I visited a few coffee shops, and I was just blown away, like, because it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
It's the taste is a little different, and it's like organic, right?
Yeah.
You know, like you're from the Philippines,
Yeah.
and my family's from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And when you
It
go
feels
there,
real.
it feels
Feels
real.
real.
And then
Yeah.
the food is different.
Yeah.
You know, there's something different about you
Mhm.
know the taste, because it's like it's homegrown.
Home. Yeah. Doesn't feel. I mean, no offense
Yeah.
to America, but not processed. It doesn't feel like
Yes.
this processed thing. Like someone's trying to mimic it. Like it's
Yes.
literally the raw actual
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
So me and my wife, we found that this is one of those things that kind of brings us together.
Yeah. Love
You
it.
know, it makes her feel warm and bubbly,
Yeah.
like she lights up. And at first, I wasn't too keen on the idea, like a coffee shop.
What are we
like,
doing?
really?
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on, get out of here.
Sure.
Because I really was not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
But this is what I enjoyed about it,
Mm.
and this is how it enriched our relationship.
Mm.
Me just seeing her, right? Me being the husband, seeing her happy, made me happy.
Mm.
Because you'll learn when you're married, to keep the other person happy. Sometimes it feels like it's a burden, because you want to
Yeah,
find,
100%.
you're
Yeah,
trying to find that
sure.
thing that clicks for both of you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we found that this is the very thing that we enjoy.
yeah.
So here's how it works, right?
Hmm.
First off, we'll travel, whether it's an hour or two, just for a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But during that time, it's quality time.
Bonding. Yeah,
Yeah, you get to
100%.
bond.
Would you say that's your love language for you guys? Quality time? Is that like your main one?
Yeah.
People talk about that.
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So me and my wife have different love languages.
Okay.
I'm more of the affection, touchy type.
Okay.
She's more of the gifts and service.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so she loves gifts that mean something, right? The sentimental stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not good with that.
Yeah.
I'm horrible.
Yeah.
I'm the touchy guy, right? I
Mhm.
like affection.
Yeah.
She doesn't like that.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're so opposite.
Yeah.
But, in a marriage, as long as you understand what each other's love language is,
Mhm.
eventually you'll kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And so this is the trick. Because she's happy with going to coffee shops,
Mm.
then she becomes a little bit more affectionate.
Yeah. Yeah.
It triggers. It makes
There you
it
go.
easier
There's
for her.
it's like a hack in a way. Well, not a
Yeah.
hack, but there's a way to work, have work the love languages to work for each other.
Work it, baby.
Right,
You
work
gotta
it.
work it.
Work it. Yeah,
You-
yeah.
You learn. You learn as time
Yeah.
goes. You grow together.
Yeah.
And it takes time.
When did you guys start the coffee shop thing? Like, how long you been doing it now?
That's a good question. I
Yeah.
think so. We've been married for going on 11 years. This
Mhm.
coming October.
Yeah. Congrats.
It's been a long
man.
11
Yeah.
years. Oh
Yeah.
man, like the first 7 years were hell.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
Especially the first 5. But
Mm.
I can honestly say we hit our stride about the 7th year.
Mhm.
It just felt like any contention we had,
Mm.
it just bounced off of us.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we didn't let it hold us down. Like it was like, okay, whatever. You're mad. We'll get over it. What's for dinner? you know,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
you get to a place where you give each other permission to argue, to have disagreements, and not take it personal.
Yeah.
Because I think that's at the first few years trying to understand that concept was the challenge.
Mhm.
But if anything, it made us stronger. It made us
Mm.
better. So if you're struggling with, agreeing and connecting with your significant other, um, embrace those seasons because they're
Yeah.
gonna grow and they're gonna make the best out of you.
Yeah, and just use those moments to communicate to each other too. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
use that to grow. And I'm happy to hear you guys are in a better place because I know, I mean, me and Pastor Carlos, we met through church and stuff like that, and you've shared those stories a few times, of your guys' struggle, and I'm really glad to see where you guys are at, and
Oh my God.
of course having 2 kids now, I mean, no relationship will ever be really perfect.
Never.
That's what I tell JC all the time is. I mean, by no means have we been married or together for 11 years. We don't match up to that, but I've been together for her for a year and a month now.
It doesn't feel that way. It feels like you guys have been together for like 20
Right,
years.
yeah, we tell each other it's like it feels like we've known each other forever,
Wow.
even though just knowing each other for 3 years and just been dating for 1 year. It's just it's seamless, but by no means has it been a perfect 1 year. Like me and her
Never.
had our moments of wow, we actually now wow, we're actually mad at each other. There's moments I was like, oh, I'm mad at her and she's angry at me, and I'm just and I realize what our coping mechanisms are, and then when we come back to it, which is why because I prioritize communication.
Nice.
Afterwards, I've been like, can we talk about
Wow.
the other day? And then we'll talk about it and we'll laugh about it. And then we'll hash out okay, so if we're in this hole, here's how you got to deal with me. And here,
Yeah.
if you're in this hole, here's how you got to deal with me. And we we figured it out. Well, I mean, not figured it out, but we were kind of helping each other out, walk each other through how we work.
That's
and
great.
Stuff like that.
Communication is so key.
I've learned that so much, man. I've seen so many relationships, people who are married for so many years,
Yeah.
people who have been in relationships for so many years, and they just don't implement communication. And people have gone to bed angry at each other. One of the things JC put in way in the head ahead of our relationship was don't I guess she said it was something in the Bible of don't go to bed
Don't let the sun go down.
Booyah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let the
On
sun
your
go down
anger.
on your
Yeah.
anger, something
Yeah.
like don't.
Yeah.
And so, like, in the times where we haven't met each other, like, she'll make it a point to try to hash it out before the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about this.
That is such a great attitude and posture to have,
Yeah.
because anger can be something that if you hold on to it, it grows roots.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
out of that, you'll see different types of fruit,
Yeah.
bitterness and resentment, and it just becomes destructive. And so it starts creeping up on you. And once, it's like once those roots get developed and they mature, it's
Mhm.
hard to cut them.
Yeah.
Like you can cut the top, right? The tree, but as long as the fruit is there,
Mhm.
or as long as the roots are there, I should say, it's gonna come back, right? That anger rises up again, and things get easily triggered in you, and you're gonna go back to these these stupid moments that don't even matter. They're
Temporary, like,
temporary.
didn't matter. You said things in the
Yeah.
moment that you didn't mean. And for what? Something that, like, like, for the like, it's the person you love. Like, you can't let it
Yeah.
affect you
Oh my God.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
such a great quality to have. And I think that's why you guys are going so far.
Yeah, man. I mean, we always talk about, we're like, I mean, fingers crossed, but I mean, I tell her, like, we're definitely, I think, gonna go for the long run here.
Come on,
It's gonna be
somebody.
exciting.
Ooh.
There's the scoop. There's the scoop. Yeah. But
Ooh.
I think, like, a main message to take away from there, again, especially with you and your wife's, like, travels with coffee, is like, uh whatever relationship you're in, like, try to find that thing that you guys bond
Yes.
over. Like, you guys have
Yes.
that. I mean, me and JC, luckily enough, we bond over a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, we share a
Yeah.
lot of things in common: theater,
great.
acting. And I think that was just, like, one of the, like, easiest sparks for us.
Yeah. And it's important to note too that there's going to be some things that you're not going to see eye to eye with.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it comes to certain interests, and it's okay as a couple to allow the other one to do their own thing. You got to
Yes.
allow space for them to
Yeah.
be able to do their own thing, because that space of separation is healthy.
Mhm.
You got to give each other a little bit of a break. That way, when you come back, there's a sense of, baby, I missed you.
Yeah,
if-
yeah.
When you have that,
Yeah.
it makes your relationship a lot richer.
Yeah.
And so, if you're trying to be, if you're so clingy where you can't let your spouse alone or your other significant have their own space, it can get stale.
Yeah.
And it can get tiring and exhausting. You have to change up the vibe.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've changed up the vibe in your studio, at the workplace, wherever it is, right? I'm always changing my, my basement, right? It's like my
Mhm.
little man cave. And
Mhm.
I like to change it up a little bit because I want to feel a different vibe.
Yeah.
I want to freshen it up, right?
Yeah.
And in order for a relationship to go far, you got to spice it up from time to
Mhm.
time. Change it up, dress it up,
Can't be
change
doing the
the gear.
same thing over and over, because then
can't.
you both just kind of get tired.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up too, because a blessing is she just got a full-time job recently, which
Come
is
on.
great. Her first full-time job ever, because she was always just doing freelancing and part-time stuff. And
That's great.
what we learned from was, because I do hybrid remote, and at the time when she was doing freelance, there was days where she would come over and we'd work together.
That's cool.
But now we're learning that ever since she got the full-time job, weekdays we can't see each other, like, at all, because she gets home and she's gonna be tired. We live an hour away, so, like, I'm not gonna make her come up, and something that I get tired, I can't go over to her. So we realized, we had this conversation like 2 days ago, like, we're only seeing each other like Saturdays,
Mhm.
like, for being real. And maybe if we get lucky on Sundays we'll hang out, or Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like, oh, I miss you. Like we
That's
literally
okay.
we were telling each other this
Yeah.
week, like, man, like, I miss how we used to hang out, like, on weekdays, be more flexible with our schedules. So it makes the Saturdays much more special.
Yes.
And we're more, like, intentional about what we want to do that day with our time and stuff like that. So that was a really good thing that you said. Like, that was just kind of like how I resonated with it too.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
just makes it a lot richer.
Yeah.
You enjoy yourselves more intentionally. Not
Yeah.
that you weren't before,
Yeah.
but that space is so critical. And here's the thing, right? Everything's a season.
Yeah.
And if I were to give my best advice to anyone, never look at your situation, whether it's your career, your relationship, ministry, whatever it is that you're doing, job, never assume that that's going to be the thing that you're going to be doing forever.
Mm.
Everything has an expiration date. Come on,
Exactly.
somebody.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everything is designed for a season, and in that season, you're going to experience growth. You're going to experience change.
Mhm.
More importantly, it's going to prepare you for what's next, right?
Mhm.
If you can endure this season of where you're only seeing each other for, once a week. It's preparing you because you have in that season you're developing trust because you don't see each other throughout the week. You have to develop that discipline of even though I'm not with her or even though she's not with you, there's this component of trust
Mm.
that has to be in every relationship. And trust doesn't happen when you're together all the time. It
Mm-hmm.
happens when there's separation.
Yeah. Oof,
And so
yeah.
that's a good season that you're in. And
Yeah.
so behind the scenes, that's what God is doing. He's preparing and he's developing that trust because that trust just it's fuel to the fire. That love gets
Mm-hmm.
stronger and it gets richer and it gets hotter. Woo!
Mm. Mm.
When you guys come together,
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
that day comes,
Mm-hmm.
that fire is gonna be burning, man. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
100%. Yeah, it's important to have the seasons. Like I know you've talked about that in the past before too a lot, but I think it's a matter of like we can really learn from those. Like
Yes.
don't let like a season of struggle discourage you.
Come
I
on.
think like you can't let that really put you in the hole because like
Mhm.
I'm currently in one too, like financially with my car situation, all that stuff. Like I'm currently in a season of like doubt. But I was telling JC and like the Bible groups to do on Monday, I think we have to take those things of struggle and just learn from it because it's just God testing us.
Come
Like
on.
it's a test.
Yes.
Like God's testing us, and it's a matter of like how are you gonna take that and
Yes.
strengthen yourself for the future and learn from these mistakes and all
Absolutely.
that.
It's
Yeah.
interesting you say tests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tests, are necessary in order to make it to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not a test where God wants to see what you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. He knows what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's why he allows the tests
Yeah.
because he knows that you're designed to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, the real test is will we trust God
Yeah.
in that moment, right? You know, people are afraid of change and they're afraid to transition from where they are now because they don't want to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
Tests are not fun, man.
Yeah.
Tests require you to be patient, to have a certain type of discipline. For example, you mentioned finances, right? Who doesn't struggle with finances?
Yeah.
For almost 3 years, maybe over 3 years, me and my wife didn't have, we were only using one car.
Mm.
So here I am, I'm one of the pastors of the church. Sometimes I would have to take an Uber to church. A lot of people don't know that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or I have to catch a
Yeah.
ride with somebody.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And that was a season where I just could not afford to buy another car.
Right.
And so I was bivocational, which means, I had a real job, right? I
Yeah.
was working in the marketplace. I had a full-time gig, plus I was pastoring.
Yeah.
And so I would have to be in the office a couple times a week. And so I would just take the bus. I had to make some sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
I had to humble myself.
Mm-hmm.
And for 3+ years, I took the city bus. I would walk. I would have to endure the cold, the snow, the rain.
I can't even imagine, but not to go on a tangent, but like riding the bus to Wilmington,
Yeah,
was that an adventure for you? Like,
it
you must have
was.
seen some
Oh,
weird stuff. Let's
all
just
the
put it that
time.
way. Yeah, you must have some scary things.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll share some fun things
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah.
So, you'll see a lot of personalities on there.
Sure.
People
Yeah.
are drunk. They're on something special, man.
Yeah.
You'll see fights on the bus. You'll see people talking to themselves, arguing with themselves. They're just, they're not all.
Just gotta mind your business.
Yep.
Mind
So
your
there I
business.
am with my earphones and
Worship music.
Yeah,
you know?
man. Sometimes I'll just take a nap,
Just
man.
thinking that. Yeah.
I kid you not. For me, it was therapy.
Wow.
I didn't have to worry about driving. I didn't have to worry about paying for parking. I
Yeah.
would just get on there and it was a nice time for me. Like
Mm.
I could have thought I could have I could have just grabbed a hold of this situation and said, "Man, look at me. I'm on the bus. Where I can have a car." Like my perspective can be
Mindset's
may have been-
everything.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, mindset was everything,
Mindset's
right?
everything.
But instead I chose to embrace the opportunities. And for me, it was, man, I get somebody to take me to work. you know,
Yeah, I love
they
it.
they dropped me off just a block away from my
Yeah.
office in Wilmington, and so that for me was an incentive to walk, burn some calories, get some steps in,
There you go.
and so for 3 years, I went through a season where I had to focus on my health.
Yeah.
My health was not in a good place. I got hospitalized, and man, I got so many things I can share.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that for me was a blessing in disguise,
Hmm.
because now I had to walk to the bus stop, from my house, take the bus to work, walk, from the stop where it dropped me off to the office.
Hmm.
So I ended up doing this. I actually would uh, allow the bus to drop me off at the very last stop furthest from my office,
Wow.
and it would force me to walk. So I would get my morning workout. And for me,
Yeah.
that was therapy.
Yeah.
My mindset, early in the morning, I can get it cleared up. And see, I took a situation and I made it work for me.
Yeah. That's really good, man.
I embraced it,
Yeah.
and so it was twofold. I saved money
Hmm.
because I wasn't paying car insurance. I wasn't paying gas. I wasn't paying car maintenance. I wasn't paying for parking.
Hmm.
I was getting healthy. So that's a fivefold blessing right there. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I looked at it that way, and I reminded myself. I had to intentionally remind myself that even though that was a tough season, there was a blessing in it.
Yeah.
And so every season that we go through, there is a blessing.
There's light in everything.
There's light in everything.
Yeah.
And I think we get caught up in comfort.
Yeah.
So if you're in a season where everything's good, that can be a curse, because now you get stuck on, well,
It
this
spoils you.
it spoils you,
Yeah.
man, and you're not open to change. Change brings growth.
Mm.
It brings prosperity. It brings, maturity. It brings opportunity. And when you allow comfort to spoil you, you get stagnant over time.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening to me at work.
Hmm.
I was there for 8 years. And one day I got into work, and brother, this is last July.
Mm.
This is a great transition, by the way,
Yeah.
because it leads into my ministry.
I love this. Yeah, if you guys can't tell, yeah, like pastor right here on the couch, and I mean, I do definitely want to dive deep into your
Yes.
ministry talk, but continue your thought, and then we'll kind of get into that. But I can't wait to like hear more about your ministry
Yes.
stories and stuff like that. But continue,
Yes.
yeah,
Last July,
yeah,
so we have this hybrid model after COVID. Every company is pretty much sending
Yeah.
all their employees home. And so we would only go there twice a week. And so it's like a ghost town. There's not a lot of people there. But this one Wednesday in July, I got off the bus. I went in and just felt different. When I stepped into the office, it was as if time stood still.
Hmm.
It's like somebody hit the pause button on a movie, and I'm the only thing that's moving.
Mm.
Like everything's just moving in slow motion. I don't see anybody in the office. The lights are dimmed. It's like a ghost town.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I doing here? And I felt
I
this
love it. Yeah,
conviction.
yeah,
And I kid you not, I literally felt like God was speaking to me in that moment.
Mhm.
And He literally said to me, full-time ministry is coming. It's time
Mm.
for transition.
Mm.
As soon as I felt that, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. I felt at that instant that my time there was up.
Mm.
I've never felt that.
Mm.
I mean, it was so clear. And I texted
That's
Pastor
powerful.
Paul,
Yeah,
my lead pastor, and I said, Pastor, because I'm very honorable, transparent. I don't like doing things behind the scene. I said, Pastor, I need your help in prayer. We met with the elders, and I shared with them, I don't know what God is doing. Is full-time ministry here at the current church, or is God leading me somewhere else? I have no idea. But what I do know is that transition is here. I don't know what, when, where, the ifs and the whats, but I was very transparent, and I shared that with them. And I love the fact that they supported me. And so I went on this 3-month fast. I got disconnected from social media. The only ones that knew were, the pastors, the elders, my wife,
Mm.
and we just kept it in prayer, and for about 3 months, just stayed off social media and just really prayed about it. One day, my best friend invites me to his church, and it's a night of worship. And when me and my wife pull into the parking lot, it's just me and her, the moment we pulled into the parking lot, we felt like this wave hit us.
you knew.
We gasped.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, did you feel that? She goes, yeah. I'm like, is this it? Because sometimes nothing's clear. Sometimes it could be emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even stepped foot in the door yet.
Mhm.
And we're like, okay, let's just keep it together.
Yeah.
And so we walked in, enjoyed the night of worship. It was great. It was nice. At the end, we met with the pastors, just a hi and bye type of deal. But when we connected, it was like if we knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
There was this resounding confirmation, and they've been looking for a full-time staff member
Mm-hmm.
to fill in a specific area in their church. And so I didn't know it then, but they said that the moment they met me, they knew it was me that they've been
Mm.
praying for over a year.
Mm.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, make a long story short, we connected with them, and a couple weeks later, we actually started talking about the uh, position that was available.
Mm.
We actually went out to dinner with them, but before that, and we just talked like friends. Had
Yeah.
no discussion about a job or anything like that. We were just getting to know each other, and
Yeah.
one thing led to another, and it just felt right. But during that process, I included our pastors of the local church.
Yeah.
I was fully transparent. Say, hey, I'm starting an interview process. Can you keep me in prayer?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that me and my wife committed to was we're going to honor the season that we're in. We're not just going to get up and leave.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. I've seen that happen. It's
Mm-hmm.
happened to us in the past, and it's hurtful. It's
Mm-hmm.
not done in an honorable way.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I always wanted to make sure that it was done the right way, honorably, and the same way. We told the new pastors we're going to lead with honor, but we also want to make sure that you feel that God is telling you that we're the right fit. Because
Yeah.
if we're not, these were my words. I'm not looking for a career job. I'm seeking to go after my calling.
Mm.
Because if I wanted to make more money, I would have stayed where I was
Mm.
at MetLife. But I felt the conviction that it's time to pursue your call
Yeah.
over a career.
Yeah. Oof.
A call. Come
Ooh.
on.
Yeah, that's good, man.
When you have
Yeah.
a calling, and everyone has a call in life,
Mm-hmm.
that's when everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up with this sense of purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's seeking that, right?
Mm-hmm.
One way or the other. Whether it's to be in ministry or to be at a specific place, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be working for a church to live out God's will.
Yeah.
We all have a God-given purpose
Exactly.
and destiny.
Exactly.
And that's the best place to be at. And I think, and it's amazing because my role at where I'm at now is to be a connections pastor. That really is my purpose, is to help people connect
Mm.
connect them with their God-given purpose and destiny. At the end of it all, if you want to summarize it in a nutshell, that's my purpose there. And so now, I'm connecting on a full-time basis with individuals every day.
It's a dream, man.
It's a
It's a dream for
dream.
you. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And it's busy, man,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are going through so much. Taking a step back, when I was doing the bivocational stuff, I was working at the Good Shepherd and also at MetLife. I didn't have time to meet the needs of so many people. So the anxiety of desiring to just help people was growing on me. And I would have these moments of frustration, like, God, there's so much need, and yet I can't do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was already growing on me.
Mm-hmm.
I saw what God was doing. He had me in a place where that passion grew to the point where when He would call me, I was ready.
Yeah.
Because sometimes God is calling us, but our heart is not there yet.
Yeah.
No, I was at a place
We'll
where
fight it. We'll fight
yes,
it. We'll fight it. Yeah.
but this time, my heart was there. Not
Yeah.
only was my heart there, my wife, she had this sense of peace. She knew that where we were was temporary.
And the support is everything.
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 It's such a challenge when you're trying to go in different directions.
Yeah.
Right. If you and your spouse you're going this way and she's going that way, that creates conflict.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my prayers was, okay, God, if this is really you, my wife is going to have this amazing peace over her. Because if I would tell God, if I don't see the peace in her, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, okay.
I'll stay right here. Yeah.
I apologize for, because who am I, right?
Yeah.
And then the other part of the component was, I wanted my son to feel peace.
Yeah.
Because he's 9 years old. He has these relationships with the kids at church.
Mm-hmm.
And, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
As a husband, as the leader of our household, you got to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
And
You can't be selfish. You got to
can't be
think about
selfish.
your whole family and
Yes,
how it affects everybody. Yeah.
absolutely. And so that is an amazing weight to bear
Yeah.
as a husband, as a father, as the high priest of your household. You have this responsibility to steer this ship. It's your responsibility. That is God's divine order. It doesn't mean that our spouses are any lesser than we are, but that is an awesome privilege to really be the head. But I lead with my wife. I don't do things without, her opinion and her feeling. And if she feels insecure about something, I don't just give up on something.
Mm.
That's just my trigger to say, okay, I got to pray about it.
Mm.
Okay, God, help her see it or help me see what I'm not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can get prideful
Yeah.
and we think that it's the way we're supposed to do it, the
Yeah.
way we see it. No, it's God will give us a spouse to help redirect us
Yeah.
and align us to where our mind has to be at.
Yeah. And I want to kind of rewind a bit with something powerful that you said was, when you went to the new church, you kind of knew and they kind of helped you out. I feel like one thing where God works the most, and I tell so many people, is community.
Yes.
He uses community to help you find kind of what is your gift, the God-given gift that you want to find in your life.
Yes.
And like it's such a blessing that you were able to find that and that he spoke to you in that moment. Because I think there's a lot of moments for all of us that, again, going back to, we fight that feeling that like, oh, I don't know if I do want to do this, like, oh, if I'm not too sure about that right now.
Yeah.
But on a recent podcast, the episode released today, but I had a guy who was a pastor at Glasgow Church in Bear, and he was talking about how gosh, I lost my train of thought, but pretty much around this thing. Oh no, basically like he wanted to pursue acting, and he realized like on that pursuit in LA, it kind of led him down a dark path. But what we can do is what he in that season he was in, he ended up finding a church community back in Delaware and got connected with them.
Nice.
And he used that community to pursue his acting dreams by doing a drama ministry, all that stuff. And like that, like it's just crazy how like church can, I mean, especially for you want to do full-time ministry, but church can always kind of be the way to kind of guide you on where you want to take life.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's such a great asset to have.
Yeah.
Because think about it, church-based communities have this advantage, a great advantage where they're not just relying on themselves. They're all coming together collectively and saying, okay, we all have these desires and wants. Let's come together and let's ask God, like, what greater resource to go to than to God? And here's where the key and the power of community comes into play. If I'm coming from the outside, I have no idea how this God thing works. What better place to start than community? Yeah. And that speaks to you.
100%. It's 100% speaks to me, and which is why I kind of, this is rewinding the timeline a bit, but I wanted to kind of talk about, the first time we met.
Yes.
And I guess it kind of just touches on my testimony a bit of I was craving that community in 2020. I'll be transparent. I lost friends because of, terrible things that happened. Like I had to cut people off, which I hate cutting people. I'm Ethan. Like I want to love people. I want people to love me, but it was a season of a lot, tension was high. People were, upset at each other, quarantine, politics, all this stuff.
Right.
And pretty much, I remember at the time where I didn't have like Jesus in my life or anything like that, I was praying. And I was praying for like a community. I remember like after one of my runs, I was like, I think I want to just have a community to be with. I don't know what that means, but I need a group. I need some sort of new group to connect with. And lo and behold, I mean, I was already that's like 2 years into United Medical and at the job I was at. And then again, goes back to Gilbert, God bless him, bringing me into the GSBC community, the church where we met too. But going there, and I was battling that, man. Like, I mean, you saw me too for a while. I was battling this whole church every Sunday, like Jesus, like I'm being. I was like, that's cringe, man. Like I don't want to do any like holy love stuff. Like Sunday school was a joke to me before. Like I mean, I grew up Catholic, but it was not very taken seriously. And to be around a community that took faith seriously, that had a relationship with God, and it was like real. Yeah, it spoke to me, and I'm like, but I was scared. I think that's the thing. I was really scared of I don't know, like, do I want to like commit to this? Like, do I want to go to church every Sunday?
Yeah.
And I remember the times where I was on and off going to church, like you would
Mhm.
see me on and off.
Yeah.
That was me kind of battling it a little bit.
Sure.
That was me being like, I like it here, but like, man, like I felt like I was kind of alone because I'm getting my family's not really, into it
Right.
and stuff like that. So I'm kind of on my own here, but is God leading me here?
Mm, that's
All
good.
my new friends are here.
Yeah.
Um, and it just kind of was this trickling effect of like blessing after blessing after
Yes.
blessing after blessing
Wow.
to where it becomes real, became
Mm.
tangible. Because some people like to say like, "Oh, you can't see your God," all this stuff that you can't believe in it, but
Mhm.
he works in ways that you'll never see. He
Come on.
works in ways that you don't expect. Like
Yes. Yes.
it's like a bunch of things that like we it's more of like a self-reflection thing of I think when you realize to a certain point like, wait, X, Y, and Z all happened.
Come on.
I've been really been going to like Bible group and I've been really praying
Mhm.
for all these things.
Yeah.
Prayer is powerful.
You know what?
Prayer is powerful.
You know what was happening to you?
Mm.
What was happening was you were seeing the fruit.
Mm.
There
Yeah.
was evidence
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's natural for you to go down this path and be skeptical because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the place that you were in.
Mm.
But faith is not based on what you see, it's on what you believe.
Yeah.
And you made a choice to believe and say,
Mhm.
okay, God, I don't know everything about this idea of church and religion and the Sunday thing, but you gave it a chance, right? And that's faith. And so when you step out on faith, that is the very thing that moves God. One of my favorite verses, Hebrews 11:6, it says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. Um, and it goes on to say, it's necessary for you to believe that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him.
Mhm.
So it's like you have these reward cards for perks when you go to the
Yeah.
supermarket.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. There's heavenly perks.
Yeah.
And so how do you tap into that? Well, all you need to do is just believe.
Yeah.
Just trust in Him. And
Believe,
yeah,
embrace, like
yes,
be in it. Like
yes,
stop fighting it. Because I noticed when I was
right,
fighting it, I felt a burden,
yes.
and I felt like there was a lot of I was going through a lot of seasons,
Hmm. Hmm.
but the moments where you embrace and have the faith
Yes,
without knowing, without realizing,
right.
blessings were coming your way, and it was like, whoa, okay,
Whoa,
yeah,
okay,
it's crazy,
I
yeah,
see you. But
yeah,
to your point, the
yeah.
thing that got you there was community.
Yeah, community, like if I share anything with the testimony for anyone who listens to this, for anyone that I want to share like the
Mhm.
gospel with anything, like to me at least, what resonated with me the most was community. It
Yes,
worked through all my friends I met at GSBC. Like I consider
yes,
them family now. Like Gilbert's one of my best friends. Like it's literally just like it's crazy how he works through community. He works in different ways for people.
yes.
But if anything, community, at least he worked for me through there. That's where I saw him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't. I love this quote. I heard it from Pastor Daniel. He said, "You can live alone, but you can't thrive alone." Right.
Mm,
And
mm.
so you go back to Genesis. Um, God created man, but He didn't create man to be by
We're
himself.
social creatures.
We're
We are
social.
social
We're
creatures.
designed to have community.
Yeah.
Now, it's only complete community when God is a part of it.
Yeah.
There's this connection, and that's where the power of a community that is faith-based is so critical and is so instrumental in helping us in every area of our lives, because we're going to face different challenges. We're going to confront different valleys and different mountains. What better place than to kind of press through those things than with a community? And it's not a community of that has people that knows it all either.
Mm,
It's people
mm,
that are, like you said, real,
mm.
right? We don't understand it all. I don't understand it all.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
right. And that's another thing I
I
learned
don't.
too is like pastors, everyone who like, can be like consider themselves like, I've been Christian for this long. In
Yeah.
reality, we really all don't know. Cause
Yes.
I was always being harsh on myself,
Hmm.
like when I do my prayers, like, oh, that
Yes.
didn't sound holy enough, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But a lot of people tell me, like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, what's coming from your heart?
Yeah.
We don't know how to pray.
Yeah.
Like, no one really knows that. Like, you're just saying for coming from your heart. And I had to take this lens off of it. It needs to be like this official biblical thing to where, no, like, I have my faith in Jesus. Other
Yes.
people do too.
Yes.
Uh, let's just have faith in him together. You know, it's I
Yeah.
don't even know how to word it. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
This is how I approach it.
Mm,
It's when I meet people, I approach them, and my first thought is, where can I meet them at?
yeah,
Where can I be a blessing to them?
yeah.
That's a great place to start.
I think, and not to cut you off, but I think that's one of your biggest strengths too. Is what I tell a lot of people is when I did get into the community at
Mhm,
GBC, seeing you, you know, as a pastor, as that person in
mhm.
leadership, it kind of you were a perfect example of, wow, it doesn't have to be like this, you're doing something wrong, like
Right,
someone judging you all the time.
right,
Like
right.
you welcome me, and like you welcome so many people in open arms. And I think that's such a good, like, one way that JC's pastor's church worded it is be good branding for
Yeah, that's good.
God.
That's
Like,
good.
be make sure you have good branding, good marketing for God, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
because we're all representing him. We're all
Absolutely. And we
representing.
we might be the first and last thing they remember about what God looks like,
Yes.
because you can easily intrigue people to go after God,
Hmm.
just as it's very easy to turn off people from God.
Yeah.
And so we have this responsibility to really represent God in the best way, brand him. I love that. To
Hmm.
brand
Good
him, to
branding.
market him, and I don't want to make him look bad.
Right.
you know,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
that is so critical and so important.
Because one thing I feel like I see so much today in today's media, which is why having you on the podcast is like really important to me, and like for future episodes, I think like media really paints Christianity to be like this really bad thing where
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
we're getting judged, like music and like movies or something like that
Right.
paints Christians to be like this really evil,
Right.
like
Right.
oh, we're judging you thing,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it's really not that. But of
Yeah.
course that's what's going to gain people's attention, which is why people post about
Right.
media stuff like
Right.
that. So again, one of my goals that I had in the past retreat that we just had was I want to embrace more faith talk into the podcast. Like
Nice.
I want people, like, if even if they listen to it or not, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
posting about it. If you want to listen to it, check it out.
Yeah.
Like, listen, like, just to have listen to the conversations we have here. Maybe it'll open someone's heart. You know, like that. Just good branding. Going back to it, the good branding thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's true. Christianity in the media has, and not even in the media, right?
Mm.
Just the church itself
Yeah. Yeah.
has turned people away. In church in general,
Hmm.
there's so many different types of churches, and I don't blame people for not wanting to go to church.
Exactly.
Now, that doesn't mean that they don't love God.
Hmm.
A lot of those people that reject the idea of church, they love God. There's this deep sense of desiring to know Him better, to know Him fully, and they want to connect. And so there is this new wave of, if you want to call it Christianity,
Hmm.
where now it's a little bit more welcoming, and the older generation is kind of resistant to it. They look at it as, oh, it's watered down. It's kind of leaning away from the actual essentials and truth. And I disagree. I think it comes back down to like the branding and the vibe, right?
Yeah.
And so I love where I'm at, because
Yeah.
it's a totally different vibe.
Hmm.
You go in there and it's like you'll see all different shades and colors,
That's awesome.
people that are tatted, people that are old, people that are new, people that are young, seasoned, people that know the word, people that have no idea. There's people in there that when I'm talking to them, they're like this new age spiritualists, right? They have all these ideas of what God is, and I'm
Yeah.
listening to them,
Yeah.
and in my mind, I'm like, I don't agree with that, but I'm not shooting them down.
And it's okay to disagree and agree
Yeah,
in those
yeah.
things. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah.
But I see it as an opportunity, and I don't hop on them right
I
away.
love that. Yeah.
I asked them about, hey, so, what's life like?
Hmm.
Where are you in life?
Yeah.
Where can I help you?
Yeah.
Can I get to know you better? Let's have some coffee. That's where I begin, because if I can build that equity,
It makes you
of,
relatable too.
yes,
It makes you
absolutely,
relatable.
it's so important.
Yeah.
And then, if there is something wrong, if there's something that needs to be theologically realigned, because I've built that relationship, I have the equity now
Yeah.
to pour into them, and they're going to be able to receive what I have for them.
Yeah.
And they'll receive it in a good way. And even if they don't agree with me, it's not going to be toxic.
Yeah.
They might say, you know what, I don't get that now, but thanks for the feedback. I'm like, cool. All
Hmm.
right, let's have some lunch,
Yeah.
and that's a good place to be at.
That's the right mindset to
Yeah.
have, because I think we live in a culture today that if you disagree with
Yeah,
someone, like like you said, shoot them down, all that
absolutely.
stuff. And yeah,
I'm guilty of it.
yeah, me too. I
Transparency.
mean, yeah,
I
yeah.
come from a legalistic background, and all that means is if it was true for me, it has to be true for everyone.
Mm,
So I would try to force it on people.
mm,
And I'll admit, even my season in the Good Shepherd, I believe God put me there to work that out of me.
mm,
Full transparency,
mm,
because I come from this hardcore, background of Pentecostalism. And there was some good things that I grabbed from it, and there was a
mm,
lot of toxic things that God has had to kind of flush out of me, and I think He's still flushing those things out of me. Full transparency.
yeah.
That's one thing about connecting this back to seasons. We should never assume that we've arrived.
Mm,
Never feel like you've accomplished it, that you've arrived, that you are polished. I
mm.
am far from it. And I love embracing that idea because it keeps me humble. This season that I'm in now, I've hit the restart button, Ethan.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
I know nothing. I
Yeah.
am submissive. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Um, I'm submitting to authority in a different way, and I'm open to being redirected. Of course, there's some foundations that are non-negotiable.
Mm,
When it comes to biblical truth, I'm not going to move from that. Of
mm,
course not. But my approach and how I approach people, and how I speak, that's going to be changed.
mhm.
There's some improvement that I've already been made aware of in my tenure in the new season that I'm in. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Like for example, I'm doing announcements this Sunday at church, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And there's things that I got to polish.
Yeah.
My delivery. I'm still gonna be myself,
Mhm.
but there's a way to communicate things that approach people in a different way, and something simple like that can go a long way.
Being the connections pastor there, I mean, of course, connecting people and all that stuff, but do you go up and give like sermons and stuff like that? Are you going to be going up on stage and like
Yeah,
do
so
like,
I'm an extension of what the pastor is.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And so all the pastors there are essentially an extension of what the pastor is. Obviously it's a larger congregation, and so
Yeah.
you need more pastors. And so
True.
I'm
Yeah.
filling in a void, right? And
Mhm.
so um I'm ahead of the small groups.
That's awesome.
And so I'm in a transition now where I'm taking that under my wing. I'm working with an awesome young man. He's a young pastor there who's currently overseeing it, and
Nice.
he's transitioning that over to me. But we're working together.
Mm,
And he has an amazing vision. But he's also over a lot of other responsibilities. And so I'm able to grab that from him and kind of
mm,
focus on developing small groups, training our leaders to be effective small group leaders,
yeah.
pouring into them so that they can pour into, their small groups.
Mhm.
Last semester there was over 40 small groups
Mhm. That's
uh,
wow, man.
throughout Delaware. Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting. It's
Yeah.
it's a tall task,
Yeah.
and so it requires a full-time commitment,
Yeah.
pouring into, and then developing new leaders.
Mm,
The goal is to have 500 small groups, like,
yeah.
grow it and take over Delaware, and, wherever the people meet, whether it's at a coffee shop, at a home, wherever that may mean, whatever that looks like, we want to empower people to lead others to a community that's just trying to connect with
Exactly.
God. That's it.
And to kind of piggyback on that, I think the whole thing with, I mean, you being a connections pastor, you understand this as much as anyone. The small groups themselves, for people who are listening to this and don't know, like again, it's just a way for
Yeah.
you to get together with others who are
Yeah.
like-minded. If
Yeah.
not, come on board and
Yeah.
just see what what the small group is like. Because I remember when I started going to GSBC small groups, Bible group.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like we got to read the Bible, man. Like
Yeah.
what's this? But no, it's a time for you to connect with others who are you're around your age, because they'll have like either
Yeah.
adult
Yeah.
or young adult or like kids. And I just think that's one of the biggest strengths to community, is like getting together in more smaller, intimate groups.
Absolutely.
Then you build the relationships there, and it encourages you to
Yes.
go into the bigger community,
Yeah.
and it helps out. And that's kind of like was part of my journey too.
Yeah. Look, when I started at Good Shepherd, I didn't really understand what small groups were.
Yeah.
But they put that under me, and I treated it like a Bible study.
Yeah.
And I would ask the young adults, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're like, "Yeah, the Bible study's nice, but where's the community?"
Yeah.
And it hit me. I'm like, I'm missing the
Well, this
picture.
this is interesting because I feel like we went backwards timeline wise, which is fine,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is perfectly fine. But this is interesting because I feel like when I started talking to GSBC, you were talking to GSBC. We kind of showed up at the same time,
Yes, we did.
which was I think is a fascinating like talking
Yeah.
point because one thing I wanted to ask you, and we're gonna wrap up maybe after this was funny because we're going from your beginning.
Yeah.
How did you like just you don't have to give like the full story, kind of
Sure.
like the short, but like what was kind of your journey to Christianity and then getting into ministry at GSBC? Like, because I remember when I went to GSBC, I thought you were there for a hot minute, and then people told me no,
Yeah.
like Carl Gilbert was like, no, this Pastor Carl's guy's like new. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, and I'm like, wow, like God brought us in, I guess, around the same time and with
Yeah.
the different paths. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fascinated to hear like just the quick origin story, how you made it to GSBC and like just your growth there, man.
Yeah, man. So I started when I was a young kid. I was born in a very violent, volatile situation. When I was introduced at a very young age, maybe I was 7, 8, 9. I, I went to church and I felt peace. And so from that instance, I had people pouring into me, and they would always say, "One day you're going to be a pastor. One day you're going to lead a church. One day God is going to put you on a platform to be an influencer, to lead people to Jesus." I didn't know what that meant. I was like a little kid, but they
Yeah.
sowed that word in me, and it grew. It was like a seed. It grew. I spent years in church, small groups, like youth group, um, and it just kept me glued to God. Fast forward, in Delaware, I got a chance to be a part of School of Ministry. So I went, I studied, and I got some good foundation under me, and it
Mm,
kind of helped prepare me for the future.
mm,
I was ordained as a minister maybe at 26 or 27,
mm.
I believe, and and then I just continued to serve my local church faithfully. One day, transition happened, and God opened up an opportunity to plant a new church. So we planted a church, and we rented the space at GSBC. It was
Mm.
called Ignite the
That's right.
Flame.
Ignite the flame, right?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And that we started in October, and that January is when the pandemic hit.
Mm.
So everything got shifted,
Yeah.
and we experienced a lot of challenges for growth. At the same time, GSBC was confronting some challenges. They needed a student pastor. They wanted to learn how to do outreach. We were very big on outreach. We were always doing outreach in the community, feeding the homeless, doing drive-through pantries. And Pastor Jesse saw that, and he gravitated to me. He goes, "Listen, I love what you're doing, and I really feel like we have to partner up." And I said,
Mm,
"Let's do it."
mm,
I really resonated with him, and we grew a good partnership, and we started doing things together.
mm,
Long story short, we merged.
mhm,
Ignite wasn't working out.
mhm.
People just didn't come back to church during the pandemic. It
Mm.
was tough,
Yeah,
man. It was difficult
yeah.
to pastor a church. And at that, I was working full time. So I just didn't have the bandwidth or the strength to continue it. But I knew that it was temporary,
Yeah.
and it had its purpose.
Yeah.
And the purpose was to come together with GSBC.
100%. Yeah.
We helped with the outreach. Then eventually, I assumed the role of student pastor
Yeah.
temporarily there, um, and and so that's how it all started. I
Yeah.
became student pastor, and then eventually, a year later, I became the connections pastor at GSBC.
Mhm.
And so the last year, served as the connections pastor there.
Yeah.
Hold him, just behold, a year later, God would open up a door to be a full-time connections pastor.
Yeah.
So it was not by accident, it was all by design,
Yeah.
where God
Well, and that
just
goes
led me
it goes
there.
back to, man, like you had a season of, when you were trying to make Ignite the Flame, you had a season, I'm sure you had a season of, man, like will this work out and all this
Right,
stuff. But
right.
in those struggles, blessings come in,
Absolutely.
collaborating with GSBC, and then from
Yes.
there gaining the experience, and then I mean of course making more connections there
Yes.
for you to lead to Love of Christ Church, right? I don't think we said the name
Yes.
of it. Love of Christ Church is what
Yes.
you're at now.
Right,
And
right.
now you're there, and
Yeah.
it's crazy how God will work, man.
I'll add
Yeah.
this, right? If I was prideful, I would have held on to Ignite for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. It's your
Yeah.
baby, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's something that you work hard to do. Uh, Ethan, I kid you not, I had no hesitation to shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And we really didn't shut it down. It became an outreach organization. Now
Mm.
it's a nonprofit. So we're still doing outreach.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
we're doing mobile pantries. We're seeing hundreds and hundreds of people come through the drive-throughs, and we not only do them at GSBC still, we do them in Wilmington. We'll
Right.
do it in Middletown. We'll do it in Newcastle. We'll do these pop-up drive-through pantries, and we'll do it with different churches.
Yeah.
You know, because we see it as we are one. You know, we are all children of God, and we're gonna come together.
Help each other out.
That's it,
Yeah, because I
man.
remember I've been to a few of them too, and it's powerful seeing everyone come together
Yes.
and like help each other, especially the ones who are in
Oh
need
my
of
God.
like community. If anyone needs community, it's
Come
the people
on.
who are going,
Come on.
who we're going to in those outreaches, man.
If you're listening out there and you want to feel a sense of community,
Mm,
I would encourage you to serve somewhere.
yeah,
Serve a kitchen soup. Join a serve team. There's churches now that have serve teams. There's one at Love of Christ. I'll plug that in. Um, where you can serve the homeless, where you can serve and help paint somebody's house, do somebody's lawn care, whatever it is. There's always opportunities to get plugged in and really make a difference. There's no greater sense of satisfaction of community than to serve together.
yeah,
And that right there is a testament. When we would do these mobile pantries, when people come together, you feel alive.
mm-hmm.
And I always tell this to people, this is what you're feeling. You're feeling what God is. Because the Bible says that God is love. And so when you pump out love, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that love. It comes back to you. And there's this sense of, man, like this felt great.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's charged up. A lot of the people that would come to our outreach were non-church people,
Mm.
people to serve, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a perfect opportunity for them to be introduced to, hey, this is what church is.
Yeah.
Oh,
It speaks-
it changes the perspective. Because back in the day, church was like this inclusive thing.
Yeah, I remember you
Or
said this.
exclusive
It's
thing,
or
right?
that, or like it's just a building. Like
Yeah,
you're just
man.
going to the building. This is what church is. But
That
no,
turns
it's
people
it's
off.
the community.
Yes.
If anything gets taken away from this, and community
Yes.
is powerful. Yeah.
Church is it's a group of people that are called out.
Yeah.
Right? The original word is ecclesia, right?
Mm.
It's people that are called out.
Mm.
And they would meet at the marketplace and they would come together, and they would make decisions, to help the community become better.
Yeah.
And that's what the church does. And that's what it still is. Yes, the building is a nice place that we can gather and worship God, but it's not the place where we make an impact in the world. It's
Mhm.
outside the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And so we engage people, we stir them up, and we fire them up to, okay, let's get the world, man. Let's make a difference.
Take the church to the people who
Yes,
need it. Take
absolutely.
the church out there. Take
Absolutely.
the church out there, man. Yeah. Again, all the outreach stuff, man. It's super powerful. Like just seeing people who don't have faith or
Yes.
Jesus in their life, being like seeing you and others being able to pray over them, like
Yes.
is crazy, man. And it definitely puts a perspective, like, man, like thank you, God, for like just
Yes.
for everything, man. Thank you for everything.
You know what it does to you? And this is what it's done to me. When you go under the bridge and you see where people are sleeping,
Yeah.
it changes you.
Yeah.
I've taken my son at a very young age to do
Mhm.
outreach. And I'll recommend parents, if you want to instill some good values, take your children. I don't care how young they are, take them with you. Do outreach. Go and serve the homeless,
Mm.
because it will instill in them a sense of appreciation, especially now. We live in this society of entitlement.
Mm.
And it's because they think that everything's owed to them. But when you take them to a place of vulnerability, it changes how they see the world. When we do mobile pantries, you'll see cars pull up, and when you look inside,
Yeah.
you'll see their clothes, their laundry,
Yeah.
their living room inside the car. They live in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the shame, you see the embarrassment of people when they pull up. My goal in outreaches, I want to be the first person they see and
Yeah.
talk to, because I want to help bring down that guard and make them understand that I'm just like them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a need too.
Mm-hmm.
Our needs might look different, they might feel different, but at the end of the day, what makes us common is that we all need help somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I make sure to make people feel welcomed. Like that's a connections pastor, right? I'm making people feel welcome to the church, and then I want them to understand there is a process where they can be connected. And so if they want to become a member, if they want to take the next steps in baptism, if they want to take a growth track where they can learn to become a disciple and really learn what is this faith thing about, we have a process for them. There's classes that you can take with other like-minded individuals
Mm,
that are not going to judge you, and you're going to feel comfortable. So those are some of the responsibilities I have as connections pastor. And I'm over the dream team, right? These are the volunteers that serve.
mm,
We have all the way from safety to medical, to prayer team, worship team,
yeah.
greeters, hospitality, cafe. I mean, we have it all, man.
Hmm.
Because we want people to be plugged in and serve and feel like they do have a place to
Yeah.
belong. And
Yeah.
that's what the church brings.
Hmm.
It's a place where you feel like I belong here.
Hmm.
I play a part in this. It's not the pastor that does it. It's all of us
Yeah.
that come together.
All of us.
All
All
of
of
us
us as
together.
one.
That's
Yeah.
it,
To
man.
bring everybody in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, dude, I think we could keep talking,
We
man.
could,
We
man.
could keep
Part two.
talking.
Let's
Yeah, we'll
go.
do a part two maybe.
Yeah.
I was again. I joke with brother Chad at GSBC, but
Yeah.
we were talking, and maybe we'll have you back when he gets on or
Oh
something,
man,
man.
you're in
And
trouble with
we'll
him.
talk. Yeah.
You're gonna have to do a few hours with him.
Right, a few hours with him. Yeah, yeah. But nah, man. Hey, again, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you.
We'll definitely end on that note. There's so much more that we probably could have dove into, but
Absolutely.
he's a busy guy. We got to let him
Listen,
go. He's a busy guy, busy schedule. He has a lot of hearts
I
to
appreciate
touch.
it. No, I really appreciate being on the show. I love the show. I
Yeah,
love the energy. I love the vibe, man. Congratulations on just taking it to the next level,
yeah, man. Thank you.
growing in your faith, and just
Yeah,
being an influencer to so many people. You influence them in so many great ways. You entertain us. You make us laugh. You make us feel good. That is a godly thing, man. You're operating in your gift, and so I thank you for continuing down that path. And I always pray for you, man. I'm always following you. If you're not following him, follow him. Subscribe.
subscribe.
Click
What are
the
you guys
bell.
doing? Subscribe. You heard the content today. And again, yeah, if you want more content like this, again, we have a lot of episodes coming up that we will dive deep into the word. We'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll have people.
let's do it.
I've thought about episodes where have people who aren't, and let's just talk about it. Let's
Come
just
on.
talk. Like, it's okay to disagree. It's okay to agree.
Come
Like, I
on.
want to have podcasts where we can have conversation and show
Let's
that
do
it's
it.
okay to have conversation with, especially the culture we're in of I believe what I want and you can't. Like,
Yeah,
let's just talk about this podcast is meant to open hearts and just talk about anything.
absolutely.
Again, like literally, I'm pretty sure the episode before this that drops is like literally me talking to one of my friends who was in college talking about frats. So again, this show again, I want to make it like just what's on your mind, what's on
Yes.
your heart. Let's talk about it.
Come
If it
on.
goes all the way from something silly to all the way to something that can be like, really deep or meaningful to people,
Yeah.
I want to talk about it. Let's
Yeah.
just have a good time.
Let's do it.
Let's make Delaware famous and let's spread the love.
That's it, man.
Let's spread the love, man.
Spread the
Go
love.
from there. But one thing I'll just leave off here is if I know we were talking about outreach and kind of leaving it off, but anything you want to promote before we kind of get out of here, before we end the show, like promote the church, promote outreach, please let the audience know.
Yeah. There's always opportunities to make an impact in our community. We'll definitely share online. I know Ethan will share for us and
Hmm.
help us plug these events, because that's what it's all about. It's not about getting people to church. That's not the priority. The priority is really connecting with people and showing them God, and connecting them with God above everything else. If there's anything that you get from me, that's the purpose. That's our drive. That's the agenda. There's nothing else. Where can we meet you? And how can we help you? At the end of the day, if we can show love to you, you'll be a better person, and you can show that love to somebody else.
Amen to that,
Yeah,
brother. Amen. Yeah, and again, yeah, we'll leave some links down below on how you guys can get connected with
appreciate that.
anything community wise, either with Love of Christ Church, Good Shepherd Baptist Church. If you just want
Yeah,
a community, or if hopefully this talk encouraged you to reach out to someone, go ahead and check out the links down below. Always remember, the YouTube channel, Ethan Hahn Productions. Go ahead and subscribe there. We'll be posting all the full video podcast on there. And we're posting vlogs every Wednesday now. So vlogs every Wednesday, podcast every Friday. We have the schedule going on. And short films will be, kind of scattered out throughout the the channel. We're currently working on the prequel for SWAT, Babyface, a SWAT story, which focuses on the character of Babyface, who is played by my girlfriend, who is my sister in there. But again, if you want to listen to that other podcast on why it's that way, go ahead and check out the podcast with me and her, where we talk about our love story. But yeah, guys, again, my Instagram is Ethan Hunt Productions. Go ahead and get in touch with me there. If you have a story you want to tell, if you want to get on the podcast, go ahead and DM me. We'll chat it out, see if something that can work out, and we'll have you on. Thanks again for watching, and always remember, this has been Ethan Hunt plus
Carlos Xavier.
Now we do some fake talking, like they do in the talk shows, like fake laughter, fake drinking the mug. There we go. Credits are
Good
rolling,
stuff, man.
and there you go, man.
Awesome, man.
That
This
was it,
cool,
man.